one more time, and we'll see what happens. Hello, everyone. Firstly, no, I'm just going to make this up as I go along, okay? And I've got lots of terrific photos. I can probably put those up along the way. Again, I don't want to go on about the technological issues, but this has been tested in the last 24 hours and worked perfectly. So here we go. Anyway, so everyone, my name's Tass Schmidt, and today I'm doing a masterclass on body image and aging. Just a little bit about my background, and before I do, I'd also like to acknowledge the land of the Ghana people on which I sit today, and elders past, present, and emerging. So a little bit about me. I'm a country girl, born in the bush in South Australia, very humble background. My dad was a rodeo rider and an axeman, which is probably where all of the trouble started. And then because of his character, he's very cowboy-like. And I spent a lot of my youth in the car outside pubs. And but I always had grand ideas that I was in for much more in life. And I really don't know where it comes from. Oh, can you see that? Happy days. Just bear with me. It's going to make life a lot easier if I can...
Just let me know when to move the slides. So I'll control it this end because I've got it now. Let me know when to move them.
Okay. Move it now, Ruth. Faith, move it now. So over time, I've lived in different parts of the world. I've been a serial entrepreneur, and I'm now at 68 starting yet another business. And I call myself a pro-aging influencer and a life reset coach. And we will ramp this all up again early in the new year. Okay, move along, please, Faith. Okay, so I'll get back to these images in a minute because they highlight a perspective around body image and aging from where I come from. But you might go, well, who the hell is she to be able to talk about this subject? Well, first of all, I've done for 15 years, I've been observing and writing and coaching in this area. And it's something that occurred to me in my early 50s that why are so many women feeling washed up? And it just seemed to me that there was just something missing there. So, but what really gives me authority in this area is I've actually had more than 50 years of personal experience of body image dissatisfaction, of not being enough or not being too much, or also of being too much, or of a complete preoccupation with the way my body looked and how much I weighed in the morning. And it's been like personal abuse. And quite recently, I realized that it had been a big issue for me for a long time. And I quite frankly was just sick to death of it. So the relevance of these photos is that over here on the left, very tall and thin, very thin, actually. And over on the right, recently, still very tall, not very thin. I don't even know what this thing is here. I don't know if you can see my cursor, but there's a lot more of me than there was on the left. And the reason I've got the photo of Stephen and myself in the middle there, he's no longer in my life. But when I met him, I was just blown away by him. And I was very slim. I was with him when I was very tall and thin in Spain there over the left. And after years of kind of worrying about being too fat, and I wasn't obviously too fat, he didn't like thin women. And so he didn't want to have sex with me because I was too thin. And I thought, bloody hell. And the one before that didn't want to have sex with me because I was too fat. And this went on and on and on. And so I feel like I do have some authority in this area, and I think it's a cause of great unhappiness for so many women. Next slide, please. So in today's masterclass, is there any way we can get the dialogue up or the presenter's screen up for me or not? So, sorry, you're muted, Faith.
No, if I stop sharing, then it will be focused on you. So if you want me to keep this.
No, that's all right. Don't worry. I'll just bear with me. I can fudge through. Okay. So in today's masterclass, we've got a lot to cover and we've had a few hold-ups to start with. But essentially, it's going to be about the big picture of body image, about the context of it in aging, and just look at the physical, just what a big issue this is, the physical and mental impacts and who and what's responsible, and really explore our relationships with our body and embracing change. And I'll weave through some role models and some inspirations and then give you something to go away with thinking about this. And I also want to preface all of this by saying not everyone has the issues as a result of their body image. Some people are perfectly happy, and that's just wonderful. But many people aren't, and I'll throw some stats around a bit later as well. Now, the reason I've got this tree here, it's a beautiful old olive tree in Vouvres, I think it's called Vouvres in Crete. Now she's 4,000 years old, and she's still bearing fruit. So there's a role model for you, everybody. I think it's just magnificent. Next slide, please, Faith. Okay, now, so for just a minute, I just want to kind of set everyone up for this, because I'm going to, I want everyone in the room. So if everyone's happy to do so, could you just close your eyes for a minute and just breathe in very slowly, right down into your belly, in and then out. And now the second breath, very, very slowly and gently, just in and out, and just be very present. And then the third breath, very slowly, in right down deep, and then out. And now, while your eyes are still closed, just want you to imagine your body for a moment and just be with it. And then please just capture the moment, one word that describes your body image. I want you to capture it like a photo and what that means to you, that thought, that image, that quick little movie. And then try and capture just how it makes you feel. Does it make you feel tired? Does it make you feel joyous? Does it make you feel productive? Whatever it might be. Your word, your image, your feeling. And please just capture it. And now just wrap it up in a beautiful scarf or whatever, and just pop it up on a shelf somewhere, and we'll go back to it later. Okay, now when you're ready, open your eyes and come back to the room, and we'll proceed. Okay, thanks, Faith. Move on. Okay, now body image and self. Now, there's no point in having any conversation about body image and aging without actually, let's describe what it is and in a general picture, because it's actually body image and body sense are, I guess, parts of the human condition, whether you're young or old. So body sense and the two work together. So body sense is the kind of the sense of that you're actually in your body. You're aware of the sensations in your body. It's the ability to experience like your internal sense of self. It emerges out of a psychological process called interception. And it's an ongoing thing of mapping your internal somatic sensations that are responsible for your physiological conditions. And it doesn't just happen, it develops over time. Body image, on the other hand, is about how you view yourself on the outside. And it happens from about when it starts to form from when you're about 25 to 36 months. You know, not much cognitive going on. You're just kind of thinking about how you picture yourself in your mind's eye. Now, It's relevant because it's actually constructed and it's very reflective of the outside world, as opposed to, and then you bring that in and then you generate these perspectives on what you look like on the outside, as opposed to how you feel and operate on the inside. Now it's very much, we're very driven by the body image, unfortunately, in many cases, and it comes from the references we receive from our culture and from subcultures and life history and our environment and a million and one other things. So the combination of these two things are what makes us who we are, basically, in terms of the world. But I've got some other views about this as well. And I think that there's a biological driver, that body image, and I'm yet to find proof, but this is just my point of view. But it seems to make sense that there are biological drivers around body image, and that is that nature wants us to reproduce. And in order to reproduce, we need to find a viable and worthy mate. And that's kind of imprinted in our psyche. And I suggest it probably stays there until even way beyond when it's something that we need to do, and we become kind of redundant biologically. And the other thing is that most humans do like to look good. And I had an example of a woman the other day, a friend of mine's mother actually, who said that she's 80 and she's still very upset about her wobbly belly. So it just goes on. My mum's the same and she's in her 90s. So it just keeps going on and on and on. And I love this woman. Unfortunately, I can't find her name again, but she just says, I get dressed up every day. I mean, I'd love to see her in Audi dressed up like that, but she probably doesn't go to that extent. She probably walks down the streets of New York dressed like that. But she said she gets up dressed up like that every day and puts on lipstick, even though she has nowhere to go. Okay, next slide, please, Faith. Now, you may know this woman. It's Karen Brumford. Have you come across her, anybody? No, shake, no, yes, no. Well, Taryn is the Australian of the Year, and this year, and she wrote a book called Embrace, and it's all, and a film. It's a film actually, and she completely advocates for this whole redressing of body image because of the impact it has on people's mental health in Australia. Now, there's got to be some reason why she ended up Australian of the Year from this platform, and I'd suggest it's because it's a really big issue that's impacting a lot of people. Next slide, please, Faith. So where we get to here is that it doesn't matter. I'm talking a lot about body image in general, but my research has told me that it doesn't matter whether you're younger or older. It's a big issue, and it's a really big issue in aging and the well-being in aging. But let's just get the nomenclature right. A lot of people talk about dysmorphia. At a baseline level, what most people suffer from is not actually dysmorphia, it's actually disturbance or distortion. But how it plays out in our lives is that it turns us away from our true identity. It kind of addles us and distracts us. So it often causes us to undervalue ourselves when we don't have a good relationship with our body image. And mostly it's coming from poor comparisons with other people, and it affects our self-esteem, then ultimately leads to depression. And curiously, there's a lot of late onset eating disorders emerging where a lot of older people, again, it comes from body image and sense of self, are eating less and less. And of course, there's other factors like changes in relationships and loneliness. But there's research, not a lot, but there's research to support the fact that body image is a major contributor, and dysfunction, body dysfunction around being older is a major contributor. Now, what I think is really interesting is all of the research supports the fact that it's a whole of life thing. If you get hooked on this body image problem and all the ways that it makes you not like yourself when you're younger. And that is like 50 to 90% of people, depending on what reports you read, are dissatisfied with their body. And but most people want to look good. And the thing is, if you get it early, it's likely to happen be the case for all of life, unless you do some work on it. Now, it's also really interesting to me that until recently, there's very little research and very little conversation or acknowledgement, or kind of like a right to have these sorts of concerns when you're getting older, which once again is an ism thing, an ageism thing, but it is changing, thankfully. Curiously, the research again supports, and conversations I'm having, with various friends in social situations, is that it's not just the domain, not only of not just young people, but it's also the domain of many, many men. And whilst women often marginally improve around their sense of self and their body image as they get older, this is not the case with men. So with women, the reason is because we're much better communicators generally. We're easier to intimacy and conversations with our friends. We're inclined to do a bit more work in this area, spend a bit more money on ourselves. Men tend not to do that. Men tend to, well, they just don't, I'm trying to think of a nice way of putting this. They don't seek help as a general rule. They have trouble getting it up a lot of the time. It really impacts on their sense of masculinity, but essentially they hold all of these things very quietly. So the stats are that with men, this body image issue and the sadness and depression that it causes gets worse as you get older. Next slide, please. So who and what's responsible for all of this? Well, it's pretty obvious, but the most responsibility falls on oneself and how you deal with this and how it impacts you, but it impacts so many people. And it's through the influences of mainstream media, social media, the fashion industry, your time in history, what's regarded as attractive, your peers, about your culture and society have impacts, family and community, language that we use, the unconscious gestures that we make, and our internal dialogue and the anti-aging industry. So Tom Ford, and you may or may not know him, said of fashion magazines, and he's a major fashion icon, that they've just enhanced reality. Even that photograph of that very kind of, I find them attractive, older couple in the last slide, all of these images are doctored. They're not real. And he said that we're basing ourselves on a fantasy that's just not real and not achievable for really anybody very much. And even the people that are featured in those images, they don't even look like that in real life generally. And the ones that are closest to it have, like the models, for instance, are renowned for having major body image issues. And as I keep saying, I'm referring to body image generally because it doesn't matter if you're older or younger, it still applies. And just look at these, well, I think they're awful images of these very skinny girls on catwalks. And that's what so many people aspire to be like that. And they're just not, it's not achievable for most people, and who'd want it anyway? Now, I think it's interesting here, over on the right, we've got a picture of Pierce Brosnan and his wife, Keely. And I think this is interesting. It's about language. Poor Keely is pilloried by the press, and the social media, the fashion commentators, the celebrity commentators, that what on earth would Pierce Brosnan want to be doing with a fat woman like that? and all sorts of shaming about, you know, what she must be like and so on. Pierce, bless him, is very outspoken in the media about his love for her and how he loves her body and what is provided for him, you know, his children and their life together. And I think that's fabulous and should be acknowledged more and more and more. That we fixate so much on the fact that we're not going to be lovable if we're, you know, too fat, too thin, have big feet, you know, whatever. I focus on the weight thing, but it's not the only consideration around body image problems, or and also the age thing. It's not all. It's not. There are so many aspects to body image. Let's call it dysfunction. And don't you hate it when well-meaning people go, "Oh my God, you look so good for your age," and I think it's just the biggest insult. It's fantastic. I think I took the book back. There's a book called This Chair Rocks. I don't know if I've got the reference here, where the author, I can send these out and Faith can distribute some of these resources if you like, because there's some fantastic books around this whole business of aging. She just hates it when people say that, and her response is, and I hate it too, is, oh, well, you look good too. or so do you, and just throw it back at people's face. And the other thing that is a pet hate of mine and is emerging as one is the language around the anti-aging industry. I mean, really, it's not like a fungus infection, aging, where you need an antifungal cream for it. It's real. It's going to happen to everyone, and there's nothing in a tube that's going to stop it from happening. So this whole anti-aging conversation needs to be changed, as do so many others. Okay, please move on, Faith. So the reality is you must accept change and difference, and not just accept it, but embrace it. So changing and your body image as you age is like, you're not less, you're actually more, and I'm not just talking more in size. There's just so much more to you. It's you just, you know, both internally and externally, and it's great to kind of think of it like this. And you're not less than you were, you're just different, and you're not old, you're renewing. So it's like more, different, new would be a much better mantra or personal conversation than less, old, not, etc., etc. Now, there are plenty of images of this is, what's her name? Carmen del Orfis. She's a famous French older model. Now, so it's, and look, she's done up to the nines. Most people probably couldn't be bothered putting all that much makeup and whatever. But she just looks magnificent, I think. And she's over 90 now. And that's a real photo. And there's any number of them on the internet when she was young. So she's beautiful then, beautiful now, just different. And I love these Japanese ladies. There's quite a few. I keep wondering whether they are AI generated, but I'm just going to. It doesn't matter though. They look like older women. They look really interesting, a bit scary, but it's just, you know, they just they're fabulous, and they're not 20 years old. Okay, so I just want to talk to that a bit. So it's just part of life. We just have to accept this as we get older. It's just real, and not only older, whole of life. That we have to embrace the differences that occur in for us to be happy. We have to. Our bodies are evolving, as are our minds, and this is an opportunity to forge a new relationship at this time of our life with our body image, and have a no holds barred enjoyment of life. It's almost as if it used to cause us so many feelings of not enough, and as a result, we used to measure ourselves up to the external, and we might add ever-changing standards. Sorry, and I might add the standards are changing all the time anyway, so how would you ever keep up? So until recently in our culture, an aging body image was not given a good rap. And there's nothing, and that there was nothing but lament about aging and loss of beauty. But more and more, I see there's a conversation emerging in mainstream media and through the socials, despite what I said earlier, that's shifting this paradigm. And that's fantastic. And it's a bit like, and probably because I'm so immersed in all of this, it's a bit like when you're going to buy, let's say, a apple green BMW, all you see is apple green BMWs everywhere on the road. Well, all I see are posts about aging and how, pro-aging basically, and fabulous images of women and conversations of women who are getting older and look fabulous and have embraced their aging body image as a fabulous asset and canvas. So interestingly, when I posted a Facebook picture of myself, that very skinny one 23 years ago, to personalize the idea of my own negative body image, it like ping, ping, ping. There's so many of my friends and acquaintances expressing concern about the idea that I was thinking of, that I'm no good because I don't look like that anymore. And the reality is I wasn't. I was actually trying to make a point that I wasn't feeling like that anymore, basically. So one of my friends, and I was trying to suggest that it was making a lot of people unhappy that they weren't like that anymore, rather than celebrating what they are like now. And one of my friends put a fantastic post up, a response, and I'll just read it to you quickly here. And she just says, well, I'm forever grateful. Aging has given me another chance to change all of that about being unhappy as I age, that I can now take control of it, that I'm a grown-up and I can put myself first and make whatever changes I need to make inside and out. And I just think that's fabulous. Sums it up in a nutshell. So if you haven't already, I suggest, and if this is relevant to you, that you jump on the train. So here's a call to actively invest in self-love and self-appreciation as you get older. It's really important. Now, Voltaire said, and I'm going to take this as a metaphor for developing your sense of self as you age. Voltaire said, one must cultivate one's own garden. So be your own garden and lovingly tend yourself. I hope you like gardening, but maybe you like the idea of it. And pamper it, and you dress it, and you take care of it, and you align with all the beauty that you're trying to create in that garden. Tend to it, nurture it, and enjoy it, and show it off to people. There's some fantastic sites. Again, I'll get them through to Faith. One I particularly love is out of New York, and it's called Glorious Broads. And they're fantastic interviews, short little interviews with all sorts of women on the streets. Some of them are, glamorous and artists and covered in tats, and some of them are just ordinary ladies walking along the street. And it's just wonderful. It's a terrific site. Okay, next, please. So, because I don't, this wonderful woman whose name, do you know her, Faith? Unfortunately, it's all in my notes on the side, but anyway, was a former model in New York. She's an activist, she's a writer. Her name's, I think, like Janelle Hutchison or something. I'm not doing it justice, and I really do apologize for that. But she's an artist, she's an activist, she's a film producer, she was a model, and she surfed her way through life from being this kind of center, like in the 60s, is kind of probably one of the first Black, really well-known Black models, or Afro-American models in the US, and she's just kept that going and used that platform to really promote the notion of that, being fabulous and aging. So I've titled to this like more image, more years, more love. So really, it's important to change your perspective on this. So how about this? How about thank you, thank you, thank you. Look at your hands and feet. Hands are a great one. How many, they held your babies if you have babies. They cook food. They're there, they service you. So thank you, hands. Thank you, feet, for getting me around. Thank you, eyes, for all of the things, the beautiful things that I can see. And thank you, dear body, for enabling me to experience this glorious life and all its beauty. And it pays, I think, to be grateful for it. There are things that you can do. And interesting, like healthy is the new sexy, for instance. Posture is so important. In fact, I don't know if you know Jordan Peterson, 12 Rules of Life. He's a philosopher and a author and so forth. But one of them around aging is posture is so important. And it's something you can actually do without making a huge effort. So thriving, fostering your confidence, well-being, looking like you give a shit about yourself are all very attractive, and they're attractive to other people, and they can be attractive to yourself. And you can cultivate these things through life and deliberately allocate energy to all of them. And all of this, there are just these simple things you can do to change your perspective on your body image as you age, if that image and that sense of self is not serving you well. Curiously, there's also a fight or flight response associated with body image and therefore aging. And it's because if you have a sense that there's something wrong, it'll cause you stress. And the stress will release cortisol. And even though it might be at a mild level, it's not good for you, this constant pouring out of cortisol. And this concern, this dysmorphia or dysfunction, or sorry, distortion of body image is a thing that causes stress. And it's really significant in terms of your ongoing health to try to manage it. So I think also there's nothing as painful as somebody who goes on and on about I'm too fat, I'm too thin, I went on diet, I put on, weight, I didn't put on weight, I can't get, all of the things that are wrong with you is boring, and it affects your relationships and about, particularly your very close ones, when it's actually making you quite depressed. And also, if you're taking that sort of energy out into the world, it's not going to attract what you want, whether it's it's not going to help attract what you want, whether it be around other people or the abundance or whatever you want in your life. Okay. Oh, I just need to say also that what you attract in your life has got nothing to do with aging. It's nothing to do with that. It's your perspective and your mindset around it. Okay, thanks, Faith. Next. So essentially, we are just the tip of the iceberg about what we show to the world. There's so much more to us. So we occupy a physical body, but we're not that body. We are our own unique identity, our essence. And when you accept this, that you are just walking around in this thing, it's not you, it starts to change your whole relationship with your body image as well. And it doesn't mean you still don't want to look good and that you'll have angst and so on sometimes, but you can do all of that as you get older and in a more aware way, because you should know a thing or two by now, and you can just you can work on these things and actually relieve yourself of that burden. Quite frankly, even with myself, it's been, as I said earlier, 50 years of basically torture. Always thinking, I was wasting opportunities and, walking into rooms and meeting all of these famous people and, and doing fabulous things, but never quite enough, never quite. So I didn't take advantage of it. I think it's very recent. It's just in the last months with a couple of things that happened. I was taking some tablets and I whacked on a lot of weight very quickly, and I hated every minute of it, and it went on. And then just one about a couple of months ago, I just thought, you know what, I'm freaking sick of this. I'm not doing it anymore. I'm fine as I am. In fact, I'm better than fine. There's things I'd like to change, but I'm just not going to do this anymore. And I tell you, the difference is incredible. And it was just one morning, the switch just flicked, and it's as easy, say it's easy, but it's as instantaneous as that. And the curious thing is, now because I'm not kind of angsting about it all the time, I'm just quietly getting back to just a very mobile, easy, I just feel easy about my clothes, and it's just so much easier. It feels like this huge burden lifted, and I can encourage everyone to do it if they are able. So this also worth, so it doesn't, I think what's happened is in most of our lives, we've given, I have anyway, and I don't know about the rest of you, we've given the tip of the iceberg prominence, and actually that's not what people see initially. They see what shines through, and where the depth is. It's also that beyond that first impression, and if you're always concerned about what other people think and how you look to the world, beyond that first impression, like, wow, she's pretty awesome. But once people start talking to you, and you probably found this talking to men or women or whatever else is your shtick, that after that initial kind of visual attraction, I guess, or energetic attraction, it doesn't kind of get sustained at that level. But people might be attracted to how you look physically, but it's your energy that sustains interest. And often it's that actually even morphs the way you look and the way you experience yourself. And I've experienced that sometimes myself, sitting across the room from people, and it's their energy, and all of a sudden I go, their face looks different. Their face looks different. So yeah, it's what's beneath that's most interesting. And right now, it's time to resume as the creators of our life. We're wagging the dog here, and it's about what we want to do, how you want to be seen, and then work on that. So this is different for everyone, and remember, looking good does not equate to looking young. And there's crucial evidence around from neuroimaging and questionnaires that people with a stronger sense of their body, their internal self, are more likely to produce an accurate and stable body image relationship. And all of this means that there's something that we can do to improve how we feel about our body as we get older, and about how we look, in that we can purposefully work on increasing our body awareness by consciously sinking into our bodies and sensing ourselves more and more and more from within. And we can do this by engaging in meditative practices like, say, breath work or mindfulness or yoga, and deliberately shifting our perspective. Doing it deliberately, working on it. It's also true that as we do this, our internal sensations are kind of the thing that takes us through to growing older. Is going to be less and less influenced by external stimulation, will become more and more contained. It makes it clear that how deepening our body awareness can help us resist the insidious brainwashing of the ageless society that we live in.
Just 5 minutes left, Tass.
Yeah, that's great, because I'm nearly finished. Okay, next one, next please. Next slide, please. Okay, so I have a pretty significant, I'm immersed in business background, and was very attracted to the idea of SMART goals. The body image you take to the world and identify with, I want you to think back to your word earlier on and pull it back out, And just if you can just put in chat about whether it still resonates or whether you want to change your word, because you can change it. Now you might be just fine with how you look and how you feel and your relationship with your body image. But I can tell you there'll be lots of people around you who are not, and they could probably use your help around, you know, how you do it. So if you want to change things, I want to say it's easy, but it's not. But there's a method, and SMART goals is a method that you can apply here. So so the first idea in the SMART goal is to get very specific. Is put a bit of time into this. This is, you know, the take home. You can work on this in your own time at home if you're motivated to do it. And some people just can't. You know, I also accept that it's a bridge too far, but it's possible. Even small little bits that you want to change about yourself and your relationship with your body image as you get older. So you have to get, with the SMART goal, you've got to get very specific. And that would, in this case, would describe what you want to change in your relationship with your body. Write it down. Then how are you going to measure your progress? Then you have to kind of question, is it achievable? For instance, a while back, I wanted to be a pole dancer. And the reality is the last thing probably possible for me with a, you know, banged up knee and being 6 foot tall and so forth is to be a pole dancer. So that was not going to be an achievable goal. And you also have to ask, is it possible for you in the context of your life and where you are? And then if it is possible, then, you know, what are you going to need for it? The mindset, the tools, the support, and the resources that you require. And then really question, is this really important to me? Because if it's not, well, then just let it go. And then the last thing is timing. So if you do want to make some changes, kind of go, I want to make these changes by such and such a date or over the next 3 months or the next 6 months, and then write it down and get cracking. Next, please, Faith. And this is the last slide. So just to wrap up, your body image is for life. So I'd suggest you make peace with her, make her your friend, fall in love, stay in love, and then actively engage in that relationship and make an effort like as you would somebody else. Now, if anyone, next year, as I said, I'll be ramping this whole business up a lot more. I draw on the resources or the methodologies, this is in coaching, and this whole body image area is now where I'm intending to focus. And I use the methodologies of NLP, hypnotherapy, timeline therapy, and Reiki, and I try very hard to walk the talk. I get very disappointed when I see all of these. I mean, the whole internet is just absolute deluge of coaches offering one thing or another, complete transformation, and then I kind of look into them and go, well, you actually don't do that. And also, you know, I'm not perfect, and I'm real, and I fall over all the way along. And I think that's in terms of, you know, what I think I should be doing. And you know, basically, as I said, I believe I walk the talk. I certainly try to. So I'd be very happy to help you if you DM me if you like, or email me, or just, you know, reach out one way or another. I'll be in this Silver Siren space a fair bit. And thank you so much for coming today. I'm very sorry about the tech issues, and not as sorry as this damn computer will be at the end of the session. So that's it for me, and I think that's pretty much on time, which is very unusual for me because usually I go over. So there you go.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm going to open up for some questions here, but I just have to say that there was just one thing that stood out that it's a bit of a pushback. So I'm just preparing you. Just when you're on the slide of change and difference, where you said not old, new, I really struggle with that because it still sounds like internalized ageism. It's still not claiming the word age, the word old. And I love beautiful Anne Ring, you know, who did our book club recently. She talks about reclaiming the word old. So I always struggle when we try and minimize the word old, and because it still feels like we're internalized. It just feels like we're still making it wrong. So I just really struggled with that part of it. So I just wanted to say that and just making sure that, yeah, that was it. And I remember Judy Dench saying it's rude to use the word old, you know, and I just struggle with that because I just see old is like any other word, it's neutral and it's descriptive, like young, old, tall, short, and I think is what we attach to it. So I just struggled with seeing that there. So help me with that one, please.
Okay, well, I struggle with the word old as well, and I often that was a mistake on my part. Basically, because often people go, yeah, well, I'm old now. And I said, oh, when did that happen? Was it a day or, you know, whatever? And I'm critical of it as well. So I apologize for that. Well, I'm trying to find instead of new, renewal or create or something to find another word there, but I haven't got it yet. And actually, it's just my mistake, Faith, because I don't like the word either.
Yeah, because I guess it's the thing of saying not old. So maybe there's something around that. Because I just think there's nothing wrong with, oh, we don't need to replace old with anything else. It's just descriptive, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Yes.
You know, that's what I feel very strongly about. And I think that's the Silver Sirens message is, you know, it's not pretending that we're not getting older, but it's just accepting that that's an okay thing, you know, not have to change it.
Yeah, get it. Yeah, no, I'm completely agreeing with it. It's just it is an oversight.
Okay, no problem.
It's
It's just like it just jumped out at me, and I was just
yeah. But it points to something because I'm so hot on this, but it's also this whole area. But I'm, you know, there, and I'm making those oversights.
Yeah, that's internalized stuff because it's so internalized that we don't even see it. So that's a great example of how perfectly well we've been indoctrinated into it. It's even someone like you that works with it miss it, you know. And I think that's why it's great to have these conversations. And I know not everyone feels the same way I do because I've got friends who laugh at me all the time that I feel like this, but I do feel very strongly about, you know, how we can reclaim that word and not make it something that's negative. And that's not saying that there isn't challenges about getting old, but not demonizing the word itself, you know. But I think that's it. But I don't want to spend all the rest of the time talking about that because there might be other questions, but I just wanted to point that out. We've got 6 more minutes. I'd really love if there's anyone else wants to add anything, you know. Overall, like I've certainly got so much out of that, you know. And my word, it's interesting you asked the word. My word was lumpy, which is like the oddest word. But when I look at my body, because I used to have a particular body, probably like you when you model and as a model, it's lumpy now. And it just took me a while to get used to it being lumpy. But I'm okay. And my SMART goal is around loving lumpy, but that doesn't mean that I stop on my journey of health. Because I'm very passionate about still keeping healthy, but understanding the lumpy is part of who my body is moving into now, and that's okay. That's me. Anyone else want to add anything? Yeah, go Kirsty.
Actually, going back to the comment about old versus new. Although you use the word old, what I heard in it and observed in it was about not obsolete but renewed. And to me, I found that such a great way. Every day you're renewed, right? And that actually was a turning point in my mind during the presentation that you gave, because it's great. Thank you. That I thought, oh, I need to think about something else quite differently, but change the thinking, and that was that's resulted in me changing my words. So I think when I hear old, I think hear people saying out of date or obsolete or not relevant, whatever it is, which is actually incorrect, of course, but that's what I heard. Offering it as an alternative word, or there's probably something more plain language than obsolete. But the comment I wanted to make about posture, there's a website, and I don't know if it's Japanese or could even be Chinese, I think it's Japanese, where they have people or everybody in this Instagram site, they all have white hair, all of them. So I'm guessing they're not 20. And the thing that makes them spectacular people is, and I was looking at it, I've been looking at it for ages thinking, what is it that's making these people really, really attractive? And it's their posture. Really strong, confident, and it really struck me. And the same with the two women with the tattoos. I thought, oh, their posture is beautiful, just upright. And that really struck me. So it's not a question, it's a thank you for pointing that out.
Thank you, Kirsty, sorry.
Yeah, I love the idea of posture too. For me, it's like everything else can change, but I just want to be able to maintain that, So yeah, I love that. So okay, does anyone else want to add something? Jodie, how about you? You're still muted?
I'm still muted. Yeah. No, I just enjoyed the whole presentation, Tass. I think you did a wonderful job. I learnt so much, honestly. There are so many times we sit and criticize. I mean, my word is uncomfortable, because I do feel uncomfortable at this point in time. But using the SMART goals, which I was reminded of, I will change that.
It's great, Jodie. Yeah, it's a really simple tool, and it applies in certainly. It's simple to use SMART goals in a situation like this. If you want to change something about your conversation with yourself.
Is there anybody that needs to leave that on time that wants to say something or add something so we make sure? Yeah, go, Cheryl.
I just wanted to share that I, in the last 12 months, had a health experience. And so prior to the 12 months before, I was working in the corporate mining industry in business with a younger partner. So I really struggled with letting my hair grow grey and feeling in the context. So there was some sexuality stuff around that as well, working kind of in a male-dominated area. That's just kind of a short backstory. Then I got diagnosed with multiple myeloma. So that disease is uncommon in people my age. So when I went to the hospital, I'd been really struggled for 12 months with my body image and being older. And when I was at the hospital, I was constantly told day after day, you're so young to have this. And so I suddenly felt young. And so the experience of being sick and being taken care of and really paying attention to my body, having cancer and not having no hair and wearing a headdress was probably some of the most beautiful time of my life, where I felt, and I feel less beautiful than that now. I used to get really dressed up for chemotherapy and look for lovely scarves. And so it was just interesting for me that it was put into a completely different situation. You can feel so different about how you look. I felt very beautiful at that time. Yeah. That's all.
Thanks, Cheryl. That's fantastic. That's wonderful.
Beautiful, Cheryl. Okay, who have we got left? How about you? Yeah, go for it, Julia.
My word is sacred for my body. So I used to not consciously take care of my body until recently. I'm always all about taking care of my soul. Well, what houses my soul? My body. So I now view it as sacred. So I've changed how I think about my body and how I treat my body. So it might help, if you thought of your body as sacred, because then you treat your body better.
Beautiful. Okay. Anyone else wanted to add anything? Was that? Oh no, it's that thingy going. What about you, Anna?
I just wanted to say that I got a lot out of today, like everything, like the Voltaire quote, "Tend your own garden," and just the rethink of the body as being something that becomes decrepit, but looking at it like a vintage car and going, yeah, I want to be stylish. Like, that photo of the 90-year-old woman, and she gets dressed up, but she's got nowhere to go, but she's just having a good time in life. That looked really good. And thanks for pointing out that the body is a sacred temple to the sacred soul. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Anna.
Great. Okay. Just any final words? Why don't you close off, Tass, and then I'll switch it off and we're recording. Okay. Final words to you.
Me?
Yeah. Just some final words to finish us off.
All right. Well, again, really appreciate everyone coming here today. Have blessed Christmases or whatever else it is that you do or don't celebrate over the festive season. Researching for this particular area has produced the thing that I now want to completely immerse in, and it's around the impact of body image and aging on humans and the world. You might say, well, body image and all the rest of it is an indulgence compared to what else is going on in the world. My view is that if we have more happy people in the world and body image is a contributor to happiness or not, well, then maybe we'll go some way to help people have more energy for kindness and acceptance and tolerance with others. So watch this space. Finally, thank you, Faith, because it's really, I guess, refined my niche. And I certainly have the cred. I've buggered myself up with body image issues, as I said, for 50 years. I feel like I'm coming from somewhere that can speak with authority on this and also to come out the other end. You'll hopefully be seeing a lot more of me because I'll be promoting this like this no tomorrow.
Beautiful.
And thanks. But I'm not doing that to blow my own trumpet. I'm just saying I think it's so important.